Okay, I'm going to try to summarize what we did till now and go towards the end of the mimer. What we learned so far is that the wise child orders the mitzvahs as edus first and then chukum mishpatim, because the element of in every mitzvah that it is a testimony is the fact that the mitzvah is the will of Hashem's essence. That's what Hashem wants. Might have Jonathan. Wow, this is open screen too. Okay. The wise child calls mitzvahs edus, testimonies, first, because that's the essence of what a mitzvah is. The essence of what a Jew is, the essence of what a mitzvah is that it is a testimony and it is expression of God's essence. And by a Jew performing a mitzvah, just because this is the will of Hashem, that draws down God's essence into the world. There are two other elements of mitzvahs. Chukum mishpatim. There's the fact that when you do a mitzvah, you have to put your logic aside and follow what Hashem says. There's the fact that you also have to integrate with what Hashem is asking you to do with your persona, and to be changed by what the mitzvah is about. That Hashem wants to give something specific to you through the mitzvah. Hashem wants to give you through tefillin, let's say, the appreciation for God's oneness. And each mitzvah has what it gives you. So the wise child first mentions the essence of the mitzvah, the fact that a mitzvah is a testimony to that which requires testimony. Hashem's essence is beyond any kind of description and beyond the realm of logic completely. And therefore the word testimony applies only to God's essence, versus the light of Hashem within creation is something that we could arrive at somewhat logically, meaning our logic could prove to us that there is an energy of Hashem within creation. Our logic could prove to us that there's an energy of Hashem that transcends creation. And only regarding God's essence can it be said that this is something that requires testimony, because it's something which is totally beyond the realm of human understanding. So in addition to the fact that a mitzvah draws down God's essence, and that seems to fulfill that satisfies Hashem's desire in creation, he wants to have a home in the lowest realm, and by doing a mitzvah because it's the will of Hashem, that accomplishes it. This brings down God's essence. But the kind of home that Hashem wants in the world is a luminous home. He doesn't just want a home, he wants a luminous home. So it's not sufficient just the fact that we're doing mitzvahs just because Hashem said so. Hashem also wants us to be changed by them. Hashem wants something in our persona to be affected by the mitzvahs. And therefore Hashem gave us a class of mitzvahs called mishpatim, a class of mitzvahs called chukim, so that something should shift within us. And that approach to mitzvahs with this dedication to Hashem, the super rational dedication to Hashem, that causes that the essence of Hashem that we draw down through our mitzvahs should be revealed. Not just that it should be present, but it should be revealed. I know when you say draw down Hashem's essence, then it causes it to be revealed, leaves Dr. Bressman with the question. 1 second. Hashem's essence is already here. So then you're saying you're drawing it down, and you're if you just said you want to reveal it, okay, so then I could understand. But why are we saying you have to draw it down and to reveal it? So the analogy that we discussed it many times is of a king who has a son, and he loves his son very much, and he buys his son lots of things to show his love for his son. And besides buying his son all these things that express his love for his son, the king even hires bandits to attack his son, and then he hires armies through whom he rescues his son. So although everything that the king does is for his son, and everything that he does is something that only he is causing to happen, but if you would ask the question, where is the king? Where is the king's heart? Where is his core? His core is not in the bandits that are hurting his son. His essence is not in the armies just saving his son. His essence is not in the pants factories and the clothing factories and the bakeries and in the orchestras that he has created for the sake of his son. Rather, his essence is in the son himself. In the same way, when the Eibusher gives us a mitzvah, the Eibusher invests his very self in the mitzvah. Mitzvah is an expression of God's essence. So the creation of the world was, of course, by none other than Hashem. Nothing happens without Hashem. But where is Hashem's heart, so to speak, Hashem's essence is in the Jewish people. Hashem's essence is in the mitzvahs that He gave the Jewish people. So while there is no place that Hashem is not, Hashem wants us to draw His essence to be something that is part of creation, not just because it is a creation of Hashem, but rather because it is a place where His essence is associated with. Hashem created the world. The world comes from Him, but does that mean that means that His heart is there? A mitzvah makes His heart, so to speak, be there. So that's why we say a mitzvah draws down God's essence. Hashem is everywhere, but is His heart, so to speak? Is there an expression of His essence everywhere? So by a Jew doing a mitzvah in this world, he affects and achieves that Hashem should have a home in this world, that God's essence should be present here from the perspective of the world. Is it manifest? Is it revealed to our physical eyes? That's where the other element of mitzvahs comes in. Through doing mitzvahs with intent, with the intent that it's the will of that we want to push, that we want to be servants of Hashem. That intent causes Hashem's essence that we've drawn down through the mitzvah to be luminous, to be revealed, so that it should shine. So that's why the wise child phrases the mitzvahs, Eidus, then Chukum Mishpatim. First, there is the essence of the mitzvah, that it testifies to Hashem Himself. And then there are the other element of mitzvahs, which causes God's essence to be revealed. We still haven't, and that's the wise child's question. What are these mitzvahs? Why is it so significant to do mitzvahs physically? Before the giving of the Torah, everything was done spiritually. Why is it so significant to do them physically? Now let's get to the response to the wise child. We are up to Yish'alch. The response to the wise child is, we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and Hashem, our God, took us out of Egypt. What are we telling the wise child? We're telling him that when God gave us the Torah through the exile in Egypt, that allowed us to be worthy of receiving the Torah, that purified us, and it gave us the power to receive the Torah. And when Hashem gave us the Torah, now we're with Hashem's gift, the Torah, He gave us Himself. In the language of the Medrash, usually when someone sells something, they don't sell themselves with what they're selling. But Hashem sold Himself, so to speak, with the Torah. And Hashem gave us the Torah, He, so to speak, gave us Himself with it. The Gam, Hashem also gave us the ability that by doing a mitzvah, we cause His essence to be manifest. So his question is, how is it possible that a physical action should draw down God's essence? And the answer is that Hashem doesn't have any parameters, doesn't have any limitations, and He doesn't have to be hidden. He can't be understood naturally. So too, it can't say about Hashem that He has to be specifically be hidden. And it's specifically in the physical actions and mitzvahs that we do that we draw down and reveal Hashem's essence. Usually, we think that our intent when we do mitzvahs and our physical performance of mitzvahs are two different realms. There is what we find meaningful, our intent, what we think about the value of the mitzvah, and there's just the physical performance of it, and they're not in the same kind of thing. But Hashem gave us the ability, when He gave us the Torah, that our actions and our intent aren't really two different things. Even when a Jew does a mitzvah and he has no idea why he's doing the mitzvah, there is within the Jew this desire to do Hashem's will. there's no real separation between the physical action and our neshama's desire to do the mitzvah because Hashem said so. That's what the Gemara means when it says, when you do a mitzvah for the wrong reason, you'll eventually do it for the right reason. Chassidus explains, while you're thinking about all these selfish motives of why you're doing a mitzvah, within you, there's a part of you which is saying, I want this mitzvah because I want Hashem. So there is no separation between the intent of the mitzvah and the physical action. Within you, while you're doing the mitzvah, there is something in you which is saying, I want Hashem. The Gemara says, for example, if someone says, I want to give a coin to tzedakah in order that my son should live. So Gemara says, if you say that, you become a tzaddik. So although externally you're doing this for the sake of a selfish motive because you care about your son, not because you care about the Eibishter's mitzvah, because you want your son to get better, the truth is that within your heart, you're saying it's for the sake of your son, but it's something else. It's because you care about the Eibishter. It's kind of like how we learned about the story of Chana. The Rebbe said when they was explaining the Chana crying to Hashem and asking for a child, the Rebbe used the words, whenever there's ve'eshbechas nafshi, whenever a Jew pours out his heart to Hashem, it's lefnei havaya. It's always going to be before Hashem. Even though he has all kinds of reasons, he's pouring out heart to Hashem because he's asking Hashem to stop doing whatever Hashem is doing. But within that cry that he's asking for something specific, there is tati, dad. There is the essence of a Jew calling on the essence of Hashem. So even though we're doing a physical action, our intent for behind the physical action is present in every mitzvah. Even though we don't feel it, that's what the giving the Torah accomplished. That just like the giving the Torah accomplished, that there's no separation between the spiritual and the physical, and it's possible to fuse the two with a mitzvah. So too, in the physical performance of a mitzvah, there is present our deepest love for Hashem is there, even though we don't necessarily know about it. And that's what Hashem means when he says, God commanded you all these mitzvahs so that you should fear him. This is part of the response to the wise child. The word fear Hashem is related to the word see Hashem. The word yira has the same letters as the word see. That the godly flow that comes down to the world through the mitzvahs should be revealed. When will there be the real revelation of all these things, of every mitzvah that we're doing? When will we really see what a mitzvah is really about? We'll only see when Mashiach will come. We'll only see then we will see the revelation of the highest levels of godliness. Until, as the pasuk says, to fear Hashem our God, which now translating the word fear as the word see, to see Hashem our God. There will be revelation of Re'iyas Muhus Ein Sof Baruch Hu. We will see the essence of Hashem. And this is the response to the wise child. Remember, we asked the question before, how come the response to the wise child, we only mention one class of mitzvahs of chukim? The wise child asks about all 8 of chukim mishpatim. Why do you need all 3? What's the point of doing mitzvahs physically? What's the point of the various classes of mitzvahs? And our response to the wise child is, Hashem commanded us to do all these chukim, specifically only mention one class of mitzvahs, so that we should see Hashem. Why are we mentioning only one class of mitzvahs? And what does that have to do with seeing Hashem? What are we telling? We specifically mentioned the mitzvahs which are called chukim. Why? If you're only doing a mitzvah because it makes sense to you, and the divine nature in the mitzvah is hidden. In order to be able to cause Hashem's presence to be revealed, you have to do a mitzvah with a sense of obedience to Hashem, that you're doing this because Hashem said so. The previous Rebbe said, if a person, usually the world says that I wish I could do the mitzvahs that I don't understand with the same reverence, with the same excitement as the mitzvahs that I do understand. But the previous Rebbe said it has to be the exact opposite. The mitzvahs that we do understand have to be done with the same devotion to Hashem as the mitzvahs that we don't understand, that we have to do them because Hashem said so. So that's why we mentioned chukim specifically, because chukim are those mitzvahs which are super rational. In order to cause Hashem's essence to be revealed, we also have to have in our mitzvahs this sense of to push aside the logic of to do them because Hashem said so, primarily because we're service of Hashem, doing what Hashem asks us to do. Let's look at note Chaf. We're on page 121. I know Yontan's question is. Yontan's question is, 1 second. You said a whole thing before about causing Hashem's essence to be revealed specifically by mishpatim. Now you're saying it's chukim. What are you talking about? Why are you switching? Let's go. No, let's look at note Chaf. Sikmo bir hanemer kan b'fnim. Let's give a wrap up what the Rebbe is saying over here and get a clear clarity. On the one hand, on the one hand, the Jew has to do every mitzvah like a chayk. What does it mean like a chayk? There's a meres. Because of the will of Hashem. That's what the pasuk means when it says chukim. It means because Hashem said so. If I'm going to do the mitzvah because of the logical, ethical component of the mitzvah, or I'll do it because of the fact that the mitzvah causes bittul within me, because it changes me, then I'm not getting to the essence. I'm not going to draw down God's essence. To draw down God's essence, I can't think about how a mitzvah gives me bittul. The chukim element in mitzvah is not what we're referring to in this pasuk. The pasuk which says chukim is referring to the essence of the will of Hashem in a mitzvah. There is the chukim element in mitzvahs, the fact that the mitzvah changes and engraves something in me, causes me to become more nullified to Hashem. So I might want to do mitzvahs because I want the mitzvah to change something in me. I want to become closer to Hashem and have more of be more subservient to God's desire. That's nice. That won't draw down God's essence. I might want to do a mitzvah because I want an ethical change. I want to become a mensch. I want to do this mitzvah. I'm hoping by giving this tzedakah, it's going to change me and I'm going to become a mensch. I'm going to start being a more caring person. That's nice. And that should be there as well. But that's not going to draw down the essence of Hashem. To draw down the essence of Hashem, the first thing that component of the mitzvah there has to be is that this is the will of Hashem. That's what the pasuk means with the word chukim over here. The eidus element of mitzvahs, which we're referring to, which we're calling chukim in this pasuk, is the fact that it's the will of Hashem, not the fact that it changes me, not the fact that it changes me to become more devoted, changes me to become more ethical. Rather, the fact that it is the will of Hashem. Hold on a second. On the other hand, it's also not sufficient to do a mitzvah just because Hashem said so. Hashem also wants us to want to change. Hashem wants me to do a mitzvah that I should say to the Eibishter, I want to be your servant. I want this mitzvah that I'm doing to allow me to push my logic aside to be a better servant of yours. I want this mitzvah to change me so I should become a better person, the better Jew. Better person is a selfish thing, actually. I believe Wolfgang he always says, being a better person is a selfish thing. Why is it about you? You could ask to become a better husband, a better wife, a better child, a better father, a better mother. But asking to become a better person, it's about you. A better servant of Hashem for the sake of Hashem. But why you want to be a better person? Anyway, so if you can't reveal the godliness in the mitzvah without the other elements in the mitzvah as well, without the chuk mishpatim element in the mitzvah as well. Why? Because if I'm just doing this because Hashem said so and not thinking about what it gives me, so the mitzvah is a mitzvah and I am me, and there's no connection between us. Hashem wants that there need to think about what the mitzvah is giving me in order that I should actually give it to me. Otherwise, the mitzvah draws down godliness, and I remain, in the language of the Gemara, chamer neses svarim, a donkey carrying books. There's a donkey, and they're holy books, so the donkey is a donkey, and the books are the books. So therefore, the Eibusha wants us to also think about the chukim element of mitzvahs, the mishpatim element of mitzvahs, the fact that what it gives me ethically and what it gives me morally, and what it gives me spiritually. So that we're doing them because Hashem said so. That's the first element of mitzvahs. But you can't be satisfied with that. You also have to think about the other reasons. In other words, it's sort of like, it's a fringe benefit. You're doing the mitzvah because it's a will of Hashem. That's what connects you to God's essence. But you also should think of the fringe benefit as well. You shouldn't ignore the fringe benefit. The fringe benefit is that it gives, that the Eibush is asking you to be kind. The Eibush is asking you to be devoted to him. If you just think about this is the will of Hashem without thinking about the fringe benefits that are there too, you're losing something. It's not becoming part of you. If you only think about the fringe benefits, you're missing the main thing. It's kind of like the halacha in Gemara. The Gemara says if I have a tree, if I have an orange tree, and the orange tree hasn't produced any fruit, so I want to sell to Yonatan. Yonatan, I want to buy the fruit of my orange tree. Yonatan says, great, and he gives me money now for the fruit that my tree will produce. The halacha is that he does not acquire anything. You can't buy something that does not exist yet. On the other hand, if he buys the tree for its fruit, not buying the tree itself, just a tree for its fruit, halacha says he gets the fruit too. He has to aim for the core. He has to aim for the tree. So in a similar way, we do a mitzvah. You have to aim for the fact that this is the will of Hashem. That's why you're doing the mitzvah. Why doing the mitzvah? Because Hashem said so. Now, but you also want the fruit too. You want the tree for its fruit. You want the will of Hashem, and you also want the fruit as well. You also want the fringe benefits as well. Hashem wants you to think about the kavanah, the specific meaning of what the mitzvah is about. The mitzvah tefillin is about the oneness of Hashem. Hashem wants you to think about that. And that is how you'll be changed and go along and go somewhere with the mitzvah. Okay, so our response to the wise child is that after getting the Torah, it's possible the physical mitzvah could draw down God's essence and specifically to be revealed. And how do we cause it to be revealed? By us doing the mitzvahs with a sense of devotion to his will, like a chayk. Next page. Let me try to sum up the last part of the mimer outside. We still need to ask a question. Since the Torah of truth calls this child a wise child, probably a wise child should know about the giving of the Torah. He also should know that the giving of the Torah allows us to draw down godliness through our mitzvahs. And he also knows that when Hashem gave us the Torah, gives a possibility not just to draw down his essence, but also that his essence should be revealed. So what's his question? If he's a wise child, why does he know about the giving of the Torah? So the explanation goes like this. The reason Hashem tells us the story of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, even though that isn't really part of Torah. Torah begins at Sinai, and their experience was before Sinai. The reason why we are told in the Torah about Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, even though it doesn't seem to be part of Torah, it seems to be just a preface to the real story. The reason is because even after the giving of the Torah, there is something that we have to do that's similar to what our patriarchs had to do. How so? Hashem commands us that every day a mitzvah has to be kachadashim, as if it's brand new, or there's another text in the Gemara which says whenever you do a mitzvah, it's supposed to be in your eyes like it new, not like new. And it doesn't just mean you should love it and you should care about it. It means that too. But it also means intrinsically that there's something new about every mitzvah that you do. Every day you have to draw down something new, something higher. The Torah says Ma'alim HaKodesh, to go to a higher level. And not just to go to a higher level, but to go to a level which has no comparison to where you were before. And so that to the extent that Rebbe says that the mitzvahs you do today should be in a way that you've never, should be incomparable to any mitzvah you've ever done before, so that you are in a totally different place, that the mitzvahs you've done till now are insignificant. In the language of the Rebbe, as if they're insignificant, or they aren't insignificant compared to what you're doing today. Today you're drawing down something so high that compared to what you're doing today, whatever you've done till now is as if it didn't exist. It's not important. And that's why every day you have to act like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, because there's something brand new. Not just you have to care, that's what the Rebbe is saying, not just you have to care about mitzvahs as if you never had mitzvahs before, but there's something about the mitzvah you're doing today that never existed before. Today you're drawing down something higher than ever was there before. So much higher that whatever existed before was nothing. And therefore, since today there's a brand new giving of the Torah, there's a brand new mitzvah, there's a brand new revelation, that everything that existed before is nothing to compare to it. So then you're like getting the Torah anew right now. And therefore, to get the Torah anew, you have to do what Avraham and Yaakov did before they got the Torah. And that's the response to our question. We asked, why is a wise child asking about the mitzvah? Doesn't he know about it? And the answer is, a wise child knows that, and a wise child says, what are these mitzvahs that God commanded you? The wise child feels every day that the Torah is brand new, and therefore he feels he didn't get it yet. Something brand new he didn't get yet. So by him, the Torah is something totally new, totally foreign to him, that Hashem is just giving to him today. And therefore, he every day begins as if he didn't get the Torah yet. And that's why he says, what is the Torah Hashem commanded you, not us? He wants to say, I haven't gotten the Torah yet. This Torah for me is brand new. That's why he's so wise. He realizes the essence of what's happening today. It's not that you're also learning Torah today. There's something brand new in the Torah that you never had before. There's a new revelation that wasn't here before. And that's why the wise child asked this question specific in the night of Passover. Even though this is something which has to do with all of Yiddishkeit. Because Pesach is a day when the Jewish people were born. And therefore, and that's why Pesach has a special connection to education, because education begins when a child is born. And that's why he asked this question the night of the Seder, because he's asking this question because he feels, compared to where he has to go today, he has not yet gotten the Torah. He doesn't know anything yet. He's like a baby who has just been born. And what do we respond to the wise child? We tell the wise child, we were servants to Pari Mitzrayim. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim with a mighty hand. What are we telling the child? That even someone who is just like a brand new baby who's just been born, in the literal sense, not like the wise child who just is this in the way of a manner of speech, but even someone who's literally a brand new baby child, brand new baby boy, and even more, even somebody who is like a slave to Pari. He hasn't yet experienced the redemption from Egypt. Despite all that, despite wherever you are, despite the fact that you are spiritually like this child, not like the wise child is in a high level and compares himself to a baby. But let's say you are really a baby. You're really a baby spiritually, and not only a baby, but you're a baby in Egypt. You haven't even begun to do anything. So, nevertheless, in language of John Paul Jones, the wise child is like someone who says, I have not begun to fight. You haven't begun. Okay, that's John Paul Jones in his battle, and that's the wise child in his battle. But then there's somebody who actually hasn't begun. I woke up, Jonathan is now good. And then there is someone who hasn't begun. He's still Mitzrayim. He hasn't made a move yet. He's a baby. He's a baby that he's a slave to Pari. Despite that, with a mighty hand, Hashem takes him out of Egypt. Now, what does that mean? What's the mighty hand? Despite the fact that you are in whatever level you're on, God takes you out of Egypt, the King of all kings, reveals himself with a mighty revelation. And that's the idea of Pesach basically means to jump from one extreme to another. That from the lowest level of being a slave to Pari, you reach the highest level of the revelation of God's essence. And so should happen for us. That just like Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim and revealed himself to us in Mitzrayim with great wonders, and Hashem took us from one extreme to another, so too Hashem should do the same thing now, from the doubled and quadrupled darkness of Gullus, that we don't even realize how dark it is, especially the darkness at the end of Gullus. We should immediately arrive at the revelation of Hashem with the coming of Mashiach, and that all flesh will see Hashem, and will see Hashem as the King of the world, the coming of Mashiach. Yonatan, you know what they were saying? I was saying to you and I that we start your day. You may be, first of all, you have to always feel every day that you're a brand new baby boy. And whatever you did before is insignificant. Today is a brand new mitzvah. Today you have to draw down something new. And therefore you have to feel today you didn't get the Torah yet. Number one. Number two, even if you are all the way down in the bottom of the barrel, today is one of those bottom of the barrel days. Today is one of the days that you're not there yet. So the Eibusha should tell us every day, with a mighty hand I took you out of Mitzrayim. We have to realize that what Hashem gives us through his mitzvahs, a revelation that was never there before. despite whatever we're up to, the Eibusha gives us this revelation, and he even gives us not just this revelation today in our mitzvahs, but he gives us the ability to go from the greatest darkness of Mitzrayim to the greatest revelation of becoming a Mashiach. That's where we are. We hear what there was putting us. It was putting us face to face with the essence of Hashem and saying to us, it's a mitzvah. It just was given to you. You've never done this before. And it doesn't matter what you've done before, what you're up to in your life. You're able to go from wherever you are and jump across the Yam Suf and to get to Mashiach. Any questions or comments? Yonatan is thinking, I'm so polite. I stayed 10 minutes more, Rabbi. What do you also, okay. L'chaim, Yonatan, L'chaim, Dr. Bressman, L'chaim, David, L'chaim, Eberel. Leib should help us all cross the Yam Suf.
L'chaim, L'chaim. Thank you.
Yantiv, Yantiv.